Hey, I'm Stephen Glosser.
And I'm Megan Peikert.
Welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast.
A podcast for anyone who finds themselves in the ambiguous adventure of young adulthood.
A season that's marked by uncertainty, change, love, heartbreak, and a whole lot of big decisions.
Join us for some real conversations as we dig into what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus in this beautiful yet complicated season of life.
We're so glad you're here, and we'd love to have you join our little Going Somewhere podcast community. Follow us on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast and join the conversation.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.
Thanks for listening. Let's jump into today's episode. Hey everyone, the Going Somewhere podcast is back with brand new episodes, and I am so pumped, and I am extra pumped because today is the first day with our brand new co-host, Megan Peikert. What's up, Megan?
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
I am pumped to have you. This has been something that we've kind of talked about here and there for a while, and to have a co-host is something I've been really looking forward to on the podcast. And today's episode, actually, we're going to get to know Megan a whole lot better. We recorded this episode like 4 months ago, and it was just kind of walking through her young adult journey. And it was kind of during that podcast that it was like, I think this would work. I think Megan as the co-host would be the right move. So I'm pumped.
Yeah, super excited. What are you most looking forward to with the podcast relaunch?
I am very excited. One, just for more interviews. We've got some that we actually pre-recorded. Zach Neese, who's a worship leader, who's somebody that I really look up to and admire. He recorded an episode a while back, and we're going to be launching that one. We've got some other ones on the way as well, but also I'm excited for the co-host thing. I think I like to listen to podcasts where there's multiple hosts because you get multiple perspectives. You have somebody to ask further questions, to go deeper. And also for you, you are like the target audience. You are 23, you are a young adult, and I am not as young of an adult anymore. And so to have your perspective is going to be really fun. And I get to just be like the old sensei.
Yeah.
What are you?
You've aged out.
I know, I've aged out. I have come to grips with that in recent years that, shoot, I am not a quote unquote young adult as much, but I do think the topics that we talk about are relevant beyond the 20s and early 30s. I think they stretch into a lot of seasons. And actually, we have some listeners that are not young adults. So if it serves you, great. We love having you here. But what are you most looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm most excited just to provide a space for young adults to get to ask questions, get to dive deeper into what are our young adults asking for, what are they interested in, how can we help resource them, as well as just learning and growing right alongside with the audience. Getting to be a part of the conversation is really fun, but also knowing that I'm going to be taking a lot of it back into incorporating into my own life and what I'm doing in the day-to-day every day.
That's awesome. And you're going to learn in the episode today, but Megan is the young adult coordinator at Northview Church here in Fargo. And so for you to have this way to speak into our young adults is something I'm really excited for as you kind of step into this role. So I think it's just going to be a lot of fun to do this together, and a little bit of what it will look like. For those of you who have listened to the podcast before, we've done interviews. We've had different friends or authors on the podcast to talk about just young adulthood in general. We're going to do more of that, but also we're going to have some space for Megan and I to dive into some questions and to dive into some of the topics that we feel are most relevant to young adults today, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, and that's where you guys come in. We want this podcast to come alongside you guys in your adventure in your day-to-day life. So send us your questions, and we want to discuss them on the podcast. Go to goingsomewherepod.com or send us a DM on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast.
Absolutely. And those things will be in the show notes. And so you can either go to the website, you can go to the Instagram, send us a DM. And that's how we want to build some of our future episodes, is actually by taking your question and then forming it into a conversation that will allow you to grow alongside of us. So we're pumped about this new kind of, if you want to call it a season of the podcast. I haven't been this excited for the podcast in a very long time. So I'm pumped to have you, Megan. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, super excited.
Awesome. Well, today we are going to jump into the episode that we recorded. Megan and I recorded a few months ago. You're going to get to know her a little bit better. So let's jump into today's episode with our special guest, Megan Peikert. How are you doing, Megan?
So good. So fun to be here. So excited.
Hey, I'm pumped. I have gotten to work with you for the last year, but this is the first time you're on the podcast, so this is exciting.
I know. I'm leveling up, I feel like, a little bit. This is like, put it in my job description. This is fun.
Like, this is my, rite of passage to friendship.
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, we've been friends for a while. But hey, let our listeners learn a little bit about you. Who is Megan? Where did you come from? Where do you go? The Cotton Eye Joe thing,
Yeah. My name's Megan. I grew up in small town, Osakis, Minnesota, farm country, cows, horses, the whole thing.
What was your high school mascot?
A silver streak. And so
silver streak.
Yeah, the mascot itself was like a rat. It was disgusting. It never came out to any of the sporting events.
Horse. I would have gone horse with silver streak.
That would have been better.
Like a Kentucky Derby winning horse.
Yeah, it was based off of the train that used to run through town. It was called the Silver Streak, but then they took apart the railroad, and so no one knew that. And then our high school was just still named the Silver Streaks. So
were there rats in the train?
I don't know.
Is that where he comes from? Okay.
Maybe, we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, we advocated for our mascot to come out senior year, and then we were like, this is why it's retired. No one should wear it. It's gross.
That's amazing.
But anyway, and then I moved up here and went to college at MSUM a couple years back, and met Jesus my freshman year and decided to pursue full-time ministry, and I've been in and out of ministry ever since for 3 years now. So
3 years. So you graduated college what year?
Fall of 2021.
So you're a COVID kid.
I am. The whole experience was online.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So how many years did you do college in then?
2.5. Yeah. So I was in college 2019, and then I was on a missions trip in Denver when they were like, your campus is shutting down. So we cut it short and went back to our dorms. Everyone moved out, and I literally was never on campus again for the next year and a half, and I graduated, and that was it.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Were you living in Moorhead, or were you living back at home, like for college?
For college, I lived in the dorms my freshman year, and then I got a townhome with some friends up here. So I was up here involved in community and everything, but just never went to school in person. So
everybody's college dream. You know?
It was really like, everyone says it's the best years of your life, and I'm like, great. So,
but no, that's real, because I think there's actually a lot of people listening that COVID impacted their college experience a lot. And so like, how did you feel like, I mean, it's hard to know because you don't know what you don't know, but how do you feel like it impacted just your college experience and even preparation for like the next season of life?
I feel like it impacted me a lot more than I know, like you said, but...
Is that why you twitch all the time?
Hey, dude. But I think it helped me be a lot more intentional with people in my life, because I made all these incredible friendships freshman year, fall, winter, and then all of a sudden it was just long distance friendship. And like the mentors I had in my life, the people that were intentionally discipling me, were no longer intentionally discipling me in the same way. So I think I know you talk about this a lot, but you have to chase after your mentors. And I think that season of my life really taught me that, and really taught me to just like put yourself out there and be uncomfortable, call people, and invite them to a FaceTime or to a Zoom call. And but yeah, as far as school went, I think we all just adjusted in our own way, and you figured it out. And I think some people either thrive online and some people don't, and I thrived. I was having the time of my life just doing it, and I had like all my classes done in like a week, and then I just had the rest of the semester. I was hanging out with people. Wild. And so
that's awesome. Yeah, I guess I've just never really put a lot of thought, because like my college experience was like hyper social, like that was when I look back at college, of course there's the educational side of it, and I took a lot from that, but the part that I took the most from was the relational components and the whether it was living in the dorms or living with people. You obviously had that experience, but yeah, just the invitation to a Chi Alpha service, to a life group, or to a small group. And so I've never even thought of like what you'd miss, but that intentionality is like, obviously I feel like a core value to you. Like intentionality is one of the words I would describe you, in just how you go about, whether it's work or whether it's relationships. And I think that's really, really cool. But how did you come to know Jesus? Was it in college, before college? How did that all take form and shape in your life?
Yeah, it's so fun. We could talk about it probably another episode. It's too long. But long story short, I had one of my best friends still to this day. She is a Christian, loves Jesus, and we went to high school together. And my senior year, you kind of have like that identity crisis of like, I'm about to be on my own. I have to make my own decisions, and I don't know anything. And so I didn't grow up in church. I didn't grow up surrounded by that at all. But I looked at my friend Brooke, and I was like, you just live differently. You love me differently. You treat me differently. I like who I am when I'm around you. And I just remember assessing her. I was like, I think it's one of the only times there's healthy comparison,
Yeah.
And she just lives so differently. And so I was like, well, I think the one difference for us is Jesus and I don't. And so we were both coming up here to MSUM, and I told her, I was like, okay, I have 2 goals here. Like, yes, I need a degree, but I need to make friends, and I need to know who Jesus is or figure out my beliefs with my faith. And so, yeah, we went to the career fair at MSUM, signed up for every Christian club that we could. I signed up for all of them. But Chi Alpha was the only one that remembered my name every time I passed her. Like, went around the sidewalk. Every time I came back, they're like, wow. Megan, we're so excited to see you on Thursday. And just because of that, Brooke and I were like, we're going to try them first. Like, we might not stay there, but we'll try them first. And we went, and we never looked back. And then, yeah, moved on a couple weeks. Honestly, I thought everyone was crazy. Everyone was too touchy-feely. And I was like, I didn't grow up in, like, a physical touch household. So when everyone, like, hugs you immediately and then repeatedly, I was like, you guys are weird. Like,
what's going on here?
Yeah, it was so weird. So I wasn't really sure about it. And then the night before, it was supposed to be fall retreat that weekend, and I wasn't going to go. I had pretty much made up my mind. You guys are nuts. I'm good. I can pursue my faith on my own, figure it out from there. And I was talking to my roommate about it, and I was just like, I don't know what I should do, if I should go this weekend. And my roommate was a stranger too. I didn't know her before this. And she was like, flip a coin. Heads you go, tails you don't. And I was like, all right. And so I flipped a coin. Heads it was. And so I called my small group leader, Carly, and like I was like,
the new casting of lots.
No, seriously. Yeah. Exactly. I left a lot up to chance there. So it was kind of crazy. And I called Carly, and I was like, is there any chance that you have an extra seat? And she is just one of the most faithful friends and has so much belief in like the power that Jesus has in someone's life. And so she had already bought my spot. She was saving a seat in her car for me. She was like, I was going to come wake you up in the morning and bring you with us anyway. And she's like, I know you're supposed to be there. And yeah, I had my life transformed at fall retreat, met Jesus, and had a crazy encounter. And I've never looked back. I came back on fire, and right people, right time, had Carly just ready, willing to pour into someone, and me just hungry for something that I didn't know anything about. And so, yeah, it was awesome.
That's so crazy, because I do feel like, just knowing you, there's such a hunger for Jesus, and it feels like you've known him a long time. Mm-hmm. And what kind of took place after you met him? Because there's obviously not everybody comes to Jesus with like a deep, like visible hunger. Like mm-hmm. you were like seeking after Jesus mm-hmm. and looking for him. But what kind of happened next, and how did that all fall into place for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just naturally I'm someone who asks a lot of questions. I really don't like not knowing something and not knowing why something is the way it is. I like to know the why. And so I just started reading my Bible, because that's where I was told to start. Start reading your Bible. And what I ended up finding was that I just didn't know what was going on. I was like, what? Who are these characters? Who am I supposed to pay attention to? And so I would read my Bible, and I would just write every question I had as I was going. And then I would take it to Carly and be like, here, I have questions. And she was just very patient. And we would go, I think after like the second time I did that, she was like, okay, we're just going to pause, and we're just going to go through the gospel and just make sure you understand the basics of who Jesus is. And she really just tore it down to the bare minimum of what I needed to know. And then we built it up from there, and which I'm really thankful for, because I think my bigger questions are the questions everyone has, was like, why do bad things happen to good people, right. And she's like, you just can't understand that yet. Like there's so many things that come before that to understand just the world we live in and things like that. So yeah, it was just a lot of being willing to ask questions, again, chasing after the people that are willing to answer them, and taking notes. I'm a huge advocate for just journaling and then going back to your notes and reviewing. Like I would take notes at small group and be like, okay, here's everything that they covered, and here's how I understand it, and reinterpret it for myself, and try and just hold on to like those little nuggets of wisdom that I gained and take it from there.
So when it was with like Carly, you felt like, did you ever feel like your questions were like not welcomed? And maybe not just Carly, but like, or do you feel like there was like a space for you to have that, and you felt like that was welcomed and cherished?
I think it was welcomed. I also think I just did not care. I was just like, I'm very curious. And so whether she was ever annoyed, she never let on. She was very, very patient and gracious. And I think she was just at a spot in her life where she was a senior. And so she was like, here's everything that I've gained, and she's had incredible mentors that walked through the similar things with her. So I think it's just the power of like repetitive discipleship and like having like a spiritual family tree, and watching that be modeled for you, and then modeling it for other people as well. So but no, I think it was always a safe space, and if Carly didn't know something, she would always be like, you go to Pastor Brad, like that's your next I don't know. And so she was also very comfortable saying I don't know, and very comfortable saying like, I will help you understand this. We will figure it out together. She did a lot of research for me. She gave me a lot of books. And so I think she also took a lot of the weight off of herself and was able to distribute the load a lot of, okay, you want to learn how to talk about Jesus with your family? Read The Unsaved Christian, or read other books. You think you're going too fast, you're prioritizing your schoolwork too much, read Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, you know? So she really equipped me in a lot of resources that I just latched onto and went for. So
that's cool. I feel like, okay, so we've had this conversation of I don't need to ask a lot of questions. Or like I just have more of like a, hey, if Jesus said I'm down, you know, like, and I feel like, you know, it's always really stretching and good for me to be around people that are asking questions. But I don't know how many times you've asked me something, like, you know what, I've never once put an ounce of thought towards that. But how would you maybe talk to the person that's listening today that is like, I have gone to church, or I do go to church, I have read my Bible, there's so many things that I don't feel like I'm getting answers to. Like, how would you encourage them to continue pursuing without giving up, but also to have the real pursuit of like, hey, it's okay. Like, I think that's the thing that I'm very aware of, but like people need more answers, more proof than I do and did, and that's okay. And so how would you encourage them in that journey?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I had to come to realize is that you just won't know everything. Like, we're not meant to know everything. There are mysteries that are within Christianity that are meant to be kept a mystery until we're with Jesus one day in heaven. And I think I had to have that realization of taking the pressure off of, it's not about the knowledge, it's not about the work or the effort that you put into your faith. And I think I went in that direction for a long time of wanting answers to things to prove that I like love Jesus. Like, I'm pursuing him through asking questions. And I think I didn't feel like I could rest in my faith and just rest in the unknown and rest in just the daily friendship that I had with Jesus. And so that's my encouragement, is to become friends with Jesus. Don't just look at him as a genie in a bottle or someone that can answer all your fortune questions that you have. And so but I also would encourage to get in a life group. I know we talk about this a ton, but there's no space like a community of believers that are willing to say I don't know, or to help you answer questions, find the answers. And so join a life group, be invested in the life group, and and go on one-on-one coffee hangouts, go on walks, invest in the people around you that maybe know more. And naturally, I think your questions will get answered, even if you don't verbalize them. I think that just being around people who are wise, who spend time with Jesus, who are further along in their faith, you will come to know things about that they have learned that you wouldn't have if you didn't have the space to ask. So
that's cool. When do you feel like the turning point took place between just kind of like collecting knowledge and like your faith being centered on what you knew versus your faith being centered on who you know? And when did that take place? Or like what led to that kind of transition for you in your faith?
Yeah, I think a lot of it probably can stem back to feeling called into ministry.
Okay.
And originally when I felt called into ministry, you know, again, Carly, she'll come up a lot because she's been so impactful, but I just remember sitting down with her and being like, I think I'm supposed to do ministry. Actually, it was a phone call because it was COVID, and I was sorry. And so I remember calling her and being like, I think I need to change my major. I think I'm about to blow up my whole life.
What were you majoring in?
Elementary education.
And then what did you change to?
Communications.
Okay.
So yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah. It was really fun. So communications, I don't know if I learned anything in my major, but you know, it was, I'm sure, helpful for someone.
Look at you communicating.
Exactly. Look at this. So I just remember calling her and saying I wanted to do ministry, but not knowing what that looked like, having no idea, not feeling supported from some people in my life, and nervous how that would go. And I just remember her encouraging me. One, she was like, of course you have a calling of ministry on your life. She was just so sure in my calling that made me sure.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm really grateful for. But also she just kind of changed our discipleship into, instead of like, what questions do you have and what do you want to learn, to how was time with the Lord today? And just asking, making sure to keep me accountable and just like spending time with Jesus. And I don't think I've ever noticed that shift until talking about it right now, that her questions did change a lot. And just the way that she checked in on me wasn't like, okay, what else do you want to know? What else do you not feel confident in? It became like, how has the Lord been speaking to you? What convictions do you have? What encouragement do you need? Who are you discipling right now? And so it became a lot more relational just naturally with the people in my life that were checking in on me. And I think that just goes to also learning how to spend time with the Lord that makes sense for you and how he communicates to you. I think a lot of times we just read our Bible and read our Bible and read our Bible, which is amazing. But the Lord does want to speak to you. And so learning the ways that he speaks also helps with just rest and getting comfortable in his presence and not working for it, but allowing him space to speak to you as well. So
that's cool. That's cool. And talking about your calling, and so really a calling to ministry in college, you know, where you felt like, and in that being like, I want to be a part of ministry for my job. Like I think every Christian is called, like every Christian is called, whether it's the Great Commission, however you want to view it, like we all have a calling in our life, but you felt like, no, I need to be on the front lines in vocational ministry. That's where I get paid, you know, or however that works. Yeah. So what was kind of the next step for you, or what was the next stage, and how did those doors open up for you?
Yeah, super fun. Yeah, a big part of being called into ministry is talking about my brother, Matt, which you should get him on the podcast.
Shout out sometime. Matt. Oh yeah, we'll get him on.
He's the best ever. And if you have a conversation with me, if any length of time, I will bring him up because he's incredible. But
it took you about 18 minutes, though, so it's a little disappointing.
It's a little bit of a record, I think. But yeah, just watching his life transform was really kind of sold me on the whole idea that I can be praying for people and I can actually watch God move in their life. And
because he came to know Jesus after you.
Yeah, about 6 months later. Okay. So yeah, I had my encounter with Jesus and then I came back, and so I have a twin brother, for those that don't know. And so we've done our whole lives together. And this was like the first moment. One, we went to separate colleges, but he went to NDSU. So, I mean, 10 minutes apart, but still had our own spaces now. And I just came back from that weekend being like, well, I've done my whole life with Matt. I have to do this with him too. I can't not have him be a part of my life and a part of this new path that I'm on. And so I went about it originally of talking his ear off about everything, inviting him to church, inviting him to small groups on his campus that I didn't go to school there, but I was like, I think there's probably a small group on Tuesday nights, and giving his phone number to other people and be like, hey, reach out to my brother. And just like, who did I think I was? But Pastor Brad, which we know and love, my freshman year, I remember him giving a message, and he said, the devil doesn't fight fair, so we don't either. And I was like, deal. That's now my personality. I just went ruthless against Matt, and I was like, I will not fight fair. And so, and then he had his whole life changed, and he is a totally different person than who he was. And it floored me that can be a job, that we can just love people like that and have conversations like that and relentlessly pursue people like that. And so I also at that time like I said, my 2 goals coming into college was find out what I know about Jesus and make friends. And so
Right.
my freshman year, week 1, I joined a sorority because I was like, I'll pay to be your friends. Like, this is how I'm in. I'm in it with these cool group of girls. They know what they're doing. They can mentor me. They can just be my friends. And through that, actually, the Lord just like broke me for the women on our campus and for just those that maybe don't feel like they have a spot, that really want to pursue faith, but maybe don't feel welcomed or don't feel encouraged, or like just need a bare minimum, need a safe space. And so just watching them and having conversations with them, like I said, I was pretty vocal about my faith. So they knew about the change that was happening. It was happening simultaneously to getting to know them and getting to know Jesus. And so, yeah, I remember starting to pray my freshman year in the fall of just what could this look like to have a women's ministry on our campus, and just like how can we create a space that they feel welcomed, and specifically like those girls feel welcome somewhere. And I was scrolling on Instagram one day and found a merch ad for Delight Ministries, and I was like, this is a cute sweatshirt, I'll order it. And so I clicked on it, and it brought me to Delight Ministries website, which the first thing that pops up on their website is their mission statement, which is to invite college women into Christ-centered community that fosters vulnerability and transforms stories. And I was like, it exists. It's a thing. There's something here. And so I went through the process of just praying into that ministry and what that could look like, and just how I could own a ministry role and still be in college and not get paid for it, but just to start pursuing and start exercising some giftings that I wanted to grow in and I felt like I needed to grow in. And so we launched Delight at MSUM a year later. And
so this is like during COVID?
We launched in spring of 2021, and then I graduated that following December. So we had Delight for about a year while I was there, and then I worked for Delight after college. And
so that took you to Indiana, and that's actually where our paths first crossed.
Yes.
And so it was I was thinking about this as you were talking too, of just like, so when did I meet Matt? When did I meet Megan? And Matt was a counselor at the camp that I have been a part of since 2018. He was a counselor. Yes, A1, shout out. And so that's where I met Matt, and then Matt calls and he's like, hey, I want to have dinner. And I just love that about him and about both of you. And so you guys came over and you just played with Kinsley and I think Baby Summit at the time. Yeah. And you just hung out at our house. We had just moved back from New Jersey, and all of my crew moved to Indiana, and you were about to move there. And so it was just kind of a fun kind of convergence. And not that, you ever cross paths with them, but it was just really cool to just see how God was aligning things. And I knew nothing about you at that time. Yeah. But what was that year like? Because you spent a year as a regional director. So what was that role like? And just that transition as a young adult, post-college, little Megan goes off into the real world, moves away from her community, from family, to Indiana to run a ministry. Yeah. What was all that like?
It's hard. It's one of the coolest things, and it's probably my favorite decision I'll ever make in my whole life was doing that job. And I just see the impact and the growth that happened that year that I would not have gotten anywhere else. I know that. But support raising and also just moving across the country, not only from your family, but also just I was leaving college. So you're already going through a huge transition, leaving college and post-grad life, and but then trying to do that in a new city, not knowing a single person, and it was incredible though. I had a wonderful team who are my best friends still to this day. The other regional directors on that team, we just had our 1-year reunion, super, just an incredible team, spirit-filled, and just love the Lord and love young adults and young women that just believing that we can have so much impact on college campuses. And so, but also it came with its struggles. It was hard adjusting. I was so confident in the calling that I was supposed to be there though. And I'm really grateful for that. Just the assurance that I had that I was supposed to be there, I think took me really far and helped me lean when things got hard. And when, you have days, the way that job is designed, it's incredible and it's so unique, but also I was overseeing 17 colleges. And so
Right.
in the Chi Alpha world, you're the pastor of one, you know, like
Yep.
NDSU. But for me, I had 17 and I had the leaders of every one of those schools. And just the weight of that is really heavy.
How old were you at this time?
I was 20. I was 20.
wild.
Yeah, I was younger than most of my leaders. So
Yeah.
to have authority was kind of also hard, which I just didn't expect.
You were just like, woohoo, let's
I know.
do
I
this.
was like, this is going to be the best time ever.
Yeah.
And I loved my regional director when I was in Delight. I was really good friends with both of them. And so to get to do that job, I was like, this is the dream job. Like, I've made it. I've peaked in my life at 20. Like, I'm going to die here. Like, I think everyone in ministry thinks that at some point, like, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is it. But yeah, it forced a lot of things to come to the surface for me, spiritually, emotionally, and just trying to walk through ministry. I think it gave me a lot of grace for the leaders that have gone before me. I just always assumed, like, you guys should just have it together. And then it was like, I don't have it together.
Right.
And so, but yeah, so with overseeing 17 schools, you know, you're on a lot of phone calls, you're doing a lot of traveling. And so it was hard to switch back and forth. Like, you could be on a phone call for an hour with a girl whose mom just passed away. And then the next call you get is like, they've had 20 salvations last night at their meeting.
Right.
And then the next call you get is like, they're failing out of school. Like, and it's all happening. None of those girls know that all those conversations are happening, but that's all. How do you not internalize all of that? And how do you not try and provide solutions to all of that? And so it was really hard for me to carry the weight of everyone else's experiences. It was less about like my own personal struggles, and it was more about like, I don't have any separation. 'Cause I'm so for you guys. Like the big thing that I think we get told a lot is like, it's only 10 months, or like, it's only a year of your life. You can do it. A lot of ministries use that mentality, which I think is really good, but wasn't healthy.
It gives you urgency and passion for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think for me, it was like, it's only 10 months. I should just be able to do it. Like, I'm going to give my all. I'm going to have all the right answers. I'm going to do above and beyond what's expected of me. And which is awesome and a great goal, but when that becomes your entire identity and your entire focus, it's really hard to not come to the Lord feeling like you failed or feeling like you didn't measure up. But he never put that weight on me. It was something that I had put on myself. And so that was kind of the first half of the year. The second half of the year was deconstructing all of that, was just enjoying the job. And I ended up reading a book, Unseen, by Sarah Haggerty, that changed my life forever, I am convinced. And that she just talks about her experience in ministry and getting to that point as well of seeing everything as only progress and not as kingdom building and impact and
Right.
Jesus transforming lives, but seeing it as like, another salvation, or another person that's reading their Bible consistently, like not seeing it as wins for the kingdom, but seeing it as personal wins. And that book just really helped open my eyes to how I was feeling and how to combat that. And which was in turn a lot of the reason of why I did not continue with Delight, just didn't know if I was continuing with ministry in general, because I was like, I don't know how to do this in a healthy way. I feel so called into it, but doing it, I'm not doing it healthily. And I need to be able to take some steps back, figure out how to just have appropriate boundaries, and also just figure out my identity in Jesus first. And I moved through, I think, the pathway of Christianity really fast. I was just so on fire and so hungry that I just naturally moved into leadership, and
Right.
Which I'm really grateful for, and I love being a leader. And so, but I didn't have a lot of experience of how to just follow Jesus without being a leader and without being responsible for other people. And so to just kind of take a season last year to slow down and to just enjoy spending time with Jesus, learning who he is to me personally,
Right.
and who he is to me without working for him. And and just enjoying doing everyday life with him, and then stepping into full-time ministry again now has been way more healthy, and just have a
Right.
whole perspective change and mindset shift. And I'm really grateful for it. It's taught me a lot. And now I'm here, and I'm grateful to be here in this mindset now.
We've got something super exciting to share with you today. Rhythm Conference 2025 is coming on February 7th and 8th, our third annual young adult conference put on by Northview Church here in Fargo, North Dakota. It is a conference totally designed for young adults. So we would love to have you join us this year.
Yeah, we'll have after parties, breakouts, times of worship, as well as being joined by guest speaker Kirk Graham from River Valley Church in the Twin Cities.
It's so much fun. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year. It's a great time to build community, to make friends, to press in, to encounter God together. And so the way that you can be a part of Rhythm Conference this year is by registering at rhythmconf.com. You can sign up today to get the lowest price we'll be offering. Prices go up on October 31st and December 31st. So you want to make sure you get tickets while they're hot. We're pumped to have you join us at Rhythm Conference. What do you think? I mean, obviously stepping away, and, I was a part of Chi Alpha for 4 years as a student, 6 years on staff. And then, had a period where I worked for a nonprofit and it was still ministry, but it was different. It wasn't like there's always a Sunday coming or there's always a Thursday. And it was like a kind of the same thing. It's kind of like a zoom out and go, okay, like, man, I just need to like invest in Jesus and let that be the sustainer. And like, what outside of that, has there been anything that's really been, okay, I have a vision for healthy ministry. I'm going to move forward in a different way. And what are the biggest things that as you step back into a full-time ministry role that you're like, this is like who I am and how I do this now?
Yeah, I think a lot of the ways that I learned how to do ministry well is through the internship program and just providing space for myself to be in a student role again. I think there's kind of like this taboo mentality with leadership that once you step back, you can't come back. It's like, or you feel like you can't, or it's wrong to even step back. It's wrong to say like, I can't do it. I need help. I need to rest. And I think we internalize like this idea of shame around that of, but you're a leader, but you're so good, but you love Jesus so much. And I think just being humble enough to say like, I need help and I need to know how to do this in a different way. And so that's kind of what the summer after my regional director year into the fall of the internship was, just trying to navigate, like, who do I know that does ministry really well? How can I talk to Carly again, who's in full-time ministry in Omaha, and just learn how she's doing it? How is she taking breaks? How is she resting? I reached out to a lot of pastors, a lot of just other people in ministry that I know of, and just did a lot of, again, I'm a curious person, so did a lot of just asking questions of, there has to be a way to do this well. There has to be another option than how I'm operating. And but in the meantime was when I took a random job that moved me back to Fargo and got me back in this space that wasn't a ministry role. And so originally, and then coming back in, finding out about the internship program really randomly, that there was this idea of we want to train people in ministry to be able to do it in a healthy way, to be able to just learn about Jesus, to take Bible classes, to be intentionally discipled, to then be sent out to do ministry. I was like, oh, here it is. Like, this is what I'm hoping for, is to get training in this and to, just learn from other people that have gone before me and try and figure out if I can sustain a well-balanced ministry life in full-time ministry. So
that's cool. That's really cool. I feel like we have to have a vision of what that looks like. And I think that's been one of the things that I've been most passionate about within the program. And now it's rebranding to NVLC, Northview Leadership Center. But really the idea of, I've been on this quest too, of like, I know it can be done healthily. Like, I know the Jesus way is sustainable. Like, I know that when he says, come to me all who are weary, like, he means it. Like, he'll give us rest, and that his burden is easy and his yoke is light. Like, I understand that. And so what I felt in past experiences, I had to quickly disassociate with him of just like, this isn't his fault. This isn't a product of Christian leadership or Christian life. This is some sort of man-made mishap, you know?
Yeah.
And a lot of like self-made. Like, I think one of the healthiest things that we can quickly do is, you know, obviously there's times where people hurt us and church entities hurt us and those things happen. But for me, it was never a product of those things that built bad habits. It was I built bad habits, and I allowed the stream to take me in a direction that I didn't want it to take me in. And when I started to take ownership of that, and like what I've learned is the more I've learned and shared, it's actually hopefully impacted other people around me as well. Because it's not about like, oh, I just don't want to do as much. Like I'm lazy. It's like, no, I'm one of the harder working people that I personally know. Just kidding. I was just, when I look in a mirror, I'm the hardest working person I know.
Boy.
And so, but it's like, how do I get things done for the kingdom? Because that's so important. And the end is near. Like all those things the Bible talks about is true, but also to not forfeit my soul, to not forfeit my health, to not forfeit my family is one of the biggest things that I've been pursuing and aiming at. And it's been really fun to have people come alongside that have that same heartbeat. Because then when you can share in it together and you can learn from each other, it's been really fun. Because as much as I hope I've taught you, like you've taught me a ton, and Hannah, Maria, Matt, like the other interns have taught me a ton, just about life and leading, and that's what's kind of fun about like the family of God and the people of God is that it's not just like top down. It's not just, here the holy ones will impart the knowledge. It's like, no, we all have different experiences. God has moved in our lives. Like you've taught me how to be curious. Amaria has taught me how to be a people magnet who just like who champions other people, gets to know other people. And so it's just really fun to have people in your life no matter what. And I think that is humility. You said it earlier, is just like one of the biggest qualities that every person needs, every Christian needs, every young Christian, every young adult. Like I think if you can pursue and get into God's word and go, how do I become humble? I think it's one of the biggest things, because then it allows you to step back from being on the front lines and being a leader to like, all right, I'm going to put mints in the bathrooms on Sunday mornings.
Yes. Shout out to me who does the mints in the bathrooms.
Shout out me. We call it character development. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I just think that's really healthy. And, you had mentioned you had kind of a stop before you got into the internship. You took a job, you came back to Fargo.
Yeah.
The longest tenured job, that anybody's ever had.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
what
I
happened?
invested so much into that place. I ended up moving home, and I moved home for my family with a lot of different things. My dad was going through some health things. And so with wanting to take a step back from ministry, I decided to come back to Minnesota, which was a shock to everyone. Because when I moved to Indiana, I was like, I'm out of here. Bye. I literally never see you guys again. And so, but then I started kind of freaking out of like, what am I supposed to do now? I need a job, and I don't want to go back to school. I want to do ministry, but I can't do ministry right now, I don't think. And so started just praying into what different jobs could look like. And I ended up coming up here to, visit with some friends, and they just ended up having weird random connections with a couple different jobs. And both of them sounded incredible. I was like, let's do it. I'm going to apply to both of them. We'll just see. And so I applied to both, got both of them. And then I sat here being like, but I'm called to my family. But now I'm going to move 3 hours from home. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And so just like kind of confused with that, but also believing that I was supposed to be in Fargo for some reason. And I felt so called to my family, but then was so conflicted with the 3 hour difference. And I was talking to a friend, and she was like, yeah, but the Lord's literally moving you 10 minutes from Matt, 10 minutes from your brother. And I was like, oh, my family's in Fargo. I have family in Fargo. So there's something up here. And so I ended up choosing one of the jobs that moved me up here. I moved up here last summer, and I was so excited. And I have never previously dealt with any form of anxiety to the extent that I often hear it talked about. And but that first morning I woke up to go to work, and I was just like in tears, like having a panic attack, just scared to go to work. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm so excited to work here. Like, but there was just like something in me that was like, I don't want to go. And so I started going, and for a lot of different reasons, I left that job after 2 weeks. I gave it 2 weeks, but a big part of that story was, yes, some things happening within the workplace, but also my personal time with the Lord. I kept describing my experience at that job with my friends as, I feel like I'm Daniel in the lion's den. Like I'm trapped here, and like there's danger, and like that's how I'm feeling before I go to bed and when I wake up, is like I'm just in like a constant state of like fight or flight spiritually. And so I was talking to one of my friends, Elena, and she just said, she was like, Megan, I don't think you know the story of Daniel that well. And I was like, oh gosh, why? Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, he gets trapped in a lion's den and then he escapes. Like, he gets freed. He doesn't get eaten. And she was like, well, he wasn't alone. There's an angel in the lion's den too. And I was like, yeah, I don't know this story at all. And so my second week of work, I started reading it a chapter a day. And the Monday of my third week was Daniel 6 in my quiet time, which is the story of Daniel in the lion's den. And what I saw in that scripture was that he was only in the lion's den for one night. It was a short season of his life. It was one day, one night. And in the grand scheme of Daniel's life and all that he accomplishes, is it even a top 10 moment for him? Was it just a cool thing that randomly happened in his life for one day, you know? And it just made me realize that I don't have to sit in a lion's den for long. Like I can leave if I want to. I can choose to step out of the lion's den. And then later on, I went to a prayer meeting that night. I hadn't quit my job yet. I had gone to work that day, but I was ready. I was like, okay, I'm ready to like talk to HR and like have these conversations. And I went to a prayer meeting that night, and I went up there for prayer and was like, hey, I'm quitting my job. I just moved up here. I signed a year lease. Like, I do not know what's going on with my life, but I'm supposed to be here for a year because I just signed a year lease in my 1-bedroom apartment. Like, I'm stuck. And so I was talking to this random girl, and she was like, well, it reminds me of the story of Joseph getting sold into slavery. Like, that didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at all. He was well regarded from his dad. Like, he had this amazing bright future ahead of him, but all of a sudden his life takes a turn in something that he didn't expect. But being sold into slavery got him from A to B. It got him to where he needed to be. And so she was like, maybe this is your, like, for lack of a better word, like your slavery moment. Like, it's getting you from Osakis, Minnesota to Fargo for something else that's supposed to happen here. And and so I left that prayer meeting, went into my car, and got a call from my boss that was like, are you quitting? And I was like, yep. And so I quit on the phone in the parking lot of a church.
And not by like design, like you weren't planning.
No, that was not how I envisioned the conversation going. But I also think that when the Lord reveals what door you're supposed to walk through, it happens fast. Yeah. And so it was like, I knew leaving that prayer meeting that I was not going to stay there for the rest of the week. Like, I was going to finish out the week. We were going to be done. I'm closing this chapter. Something else is here for me. And then the Lord was like, yeah, you got it. Like, hit the nail on the head. We're ready to move forward. Be obedient to this. And so quit my job over the phone and was terrified. I had no backup plan. I didn't have a lot of money, you know, like as a recent college grad who also just got off of support raising for a year. And then the next day I met with Alyssa Liedel. And just because I had moved back, I had scheduled this previously of I want to learn who Northview is. When I was gone was when the whole change happened with Dave and Alyssa taking over. So I came back here and I was like, this is a totally new church than where I had been previously. Right. And so I met with Alyssa to just get to know her and find some mentors in this next season of my life. And also had told her I quit my job yesterday. So I'm wide open. I don't know what's going on. And she was like, well, we want to do this internship program, but we kind of need a guinea pig if you're down. And here we are a year later, almost.
Here we are.
So that's crazy. Awesome.
No, that's cool. And I think like for young adults, that's a big thing because sometimes we are in a situation and we either see the writing on the wall and everybody's situation is going to be different. But you know, you just were in a place that you knew wasn't right. Like you knew, and I don't think it was a mistake that you were there. Like that's not the case. And I think sometimes we can question ourselves and, but you just realize like, this isn't what God has and God has something different. And I think that realization of it's not permanent. You know, I think young adulthood is a lot of actually coming to grips with nothing is like cemented in all the time. You know, when it comes to jobs, like a lot of times we look for the perfect job and it's like, if it's not perfect, you know, like just hang out, figure it out, see what doors God opens up, see what other opportunities there are, and God's going to be faithful to it. I just think that there's a lot of change and transition that you've experienced in just a short period of time. Yeah. And I think that's pretty, unified experience for a lot of young adults, is getting into jobs that don't feel right, getting into jobs that they love, but they don't feel right, going to places that you think you're going to be for a long time, and then realizing, no, that's not the case. Right. And I just love how your story is all about like following Jesus, taking risks and walking obediently in whatever that chapter is. And I don't know, it just is kind of like the proof of your life. It's just like obedience keeps bringing you to the right place. And I just know that that's a really powerful thing, really cool thing.
Yeah. I think a lot that helped with the idea of like leaving a job and going on to the next one. I think there was a lot of fear wrapped in it of like, oh gosh, I'm going to quit. What does this mean? But my advisor in college, I remember when I was set to graduate, I met with her and she just told me, she was like, Megan, just take the pressure off that the next job that you have is going to be your dream job, which I just totally forgot about that advice when I took Delight. I was like, this is my dream job. I'm dying here. This is the best ever. Right. But she said that it'll probably be your third or fourth job will be your dream job that you have after college. And
this is your third.
I know. I'm like, yes. I'm right on track. I'm right on track. But basically the idea is that the first job you're going to take because it sounds really good and it's what you think you want to do. The second job, you're going to quit that job and you're going to go to a second job that's maybe more tailored towards what you're actually good at and what you actually enjoyed from that first job. And then your third job is probably going to be a promotion within that and into something maybe with that same company, but even more so having a designated lane. So it takes about 3 to 4 jobs for you to get into your sweet spot. And I think her just telling me that gave me a lot of freedom in my life of like, okay, my first job I don't have to go big. I don't have to make it and stay here forever. And I think even when the RD job was ending, a big thing that they told us was like, this is not the peak of your life. Like in scripture, it says that he moves from glory to glory. Like he only outdoes himself. He can't go backwards. It's not in his nature. He gives you blessings and blessings. And so I think also that mentality was like, I can't go wrong when he's on my side, taking that job that brought me to Fargo. Even that was like, I can see how that was such a blessing from the Lord. I learned so much. I networked so much. I know so many people from that company that have influenced me even now a year later that are still helping me and giving me connections to different things that they didn't have to do that. I lasted there for 2 weeks, and a day. Right. So, but I can just see how he really does move from blessing to blessing. And so being just confident if he's calling you to change and confident that he will come through, that he's faithful. I think that's such a testament of my life is that he is faithful. My life should not look like this. I never thought I'd live in Fargo again. But here I am and doing something that I love and so excited and have the beginning stages of just awesome community. And so, he really does move.
That's cool. I feel like a principle for me that the Lord just really directed me in 5 years ago is this idea of living your life as if you're going to leave tomorrow and stay forever. Because when you live as if you're going to leave tomorrow, you are really diligent in pouring into people and raising up people and creating systems that go beyond you, and you treat it as if it's not yours. You're a part of something that's bigger than you. But if you also feel like you're going to stay forever, you're really invested. And I think for me, going into any job, I want to have that perspective, and into any season, I might be here for 40 years and this could be that job that I say, wow, that was my dream job. I'm so grateful. Or it's hey, that was a big deal and I gave everything I had to it. I never looked at it as if it was a stepping stone. Being a college pastor for 6 years, a lot of conversation centered around that was when are you going to become a real pastor? And so there's people now that look at my life and they're like, no, you're a real pastor. When are you going to take that next step to be a lead pastor? Whatever the case is. I've never viewed it that way. It's this is where God has me. There's good parts about it, bad parts about it, in every job, in every situation, every scenario. But I'm going to live and embrace this as if I'm here forever, or as if I'm going to give it away to somebody and raise up people. And, I'm not doing this, but I feel like I could peace out and you'd be like, all right, I think I got this.
I got this.
Yeah. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And that's something that we champion in our culture is like, you will never be punished for working yourself out of work, you know, and I think that's a big deal. And speaking of work, as we kind of land this plane and to our listeners, I just want to give you a heads up. Megan's gonna be on the podcast more. I think.
Oh, let's go.
This is just fun. But part of that is because you are stepping into a role as an event coordinator here at Northview at this church in this community. But also you're taking over young adult ministry here, which is super exciting.
So exciting. So exciting. Yeah. My official title, Director of Ministry and Events at Northview Church. So super exciting. It's something that just working with you in my internship was with discipleship. And so getting to have a firsthand real experience of just the different events that we host in our church and having a love for cultivating spaces for people to gather and encounter the Holy Spirit. I'm super pumped. And then kind of my lane that I just get to run with is young adults, which I'm super, super excited. Getting to do Rhythm Conference is just like so much love and joy for that conference and what that does for just the community of Northview and the community of Fargo and our young adults. But yeah, also just creating spaces. I think a big part of my story is trying to figure out community. And when I came back to Fargo, everyone that I knew had moved. And so I had thought, I'll go back to community. I'll just like slide right back in. It'll be great. And then I got here and I was like, where's everyone? I'm kind of on my own again. And so I'm just really excited to get to help foster that for other young adults. I think that we so often hear from young adults and just people in my friend group and things that we just don't have community. We're lonely. We're isolated. There's nothing for us. And that rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, if you want it, we got to be it. And so just trying to mobilize our young adults to be the community that we're seeking after, to be the inviters and the initiators of healthy, biblical, just Christ-centered community that we can invite friends to, that we can just have fun with, that doesn't always is really awesome to always be a Bible study, but doesn't have to be. That we're having a grill and chill picnic in a couple weeks, and just trying to foster those ways that we can be each other's family in a time that we might feel very independent or isolated, and like not many people can relate to the season that we're in. So
that's amazing. I'm excited for you. I'm just excited. Like, young adult ministry is still very near and dear to my heart, and just like I just love what people poured into my life throughout the last 10 years or so. And I'm like, with this podcast, like that's still the heart of it. And so to have another fun voice on here is just a fun treat. And so if you're in the Fargo Moorhead area though, there's going to be some stuff in the show notes of some upcoming events. If you go to northview.life / I'm the worst about that. northview.life/young adults. There's kind of a text community that we're developing and some different stuff like that. So be a part of it. If you're in the Fargo Moorhead area, there's stuff for you.
Yes, absolutely.
The final question. So normally on the podcast, I ask, what advice would you give to your 22-year-old self?
And I'm 22 until next week.
Yeah, which is your current age. So what we're just going to do, this is going to be like a young adult check-in, you know? So same vein of question, but when you look at just graduating in December of 2022, right? 21, graduating college, stepping into kind of the real world, your first job, like what advice would you give her today?
Yeah. I love this because I also listen to your podcast, so I've been preparing in my head of what is the answer to my question. And the thing that I'm coming up with is actually something I'm learning right now, but I wish I would have learned it earlier on, is just having an unoffendable spirit. I think so often we just assume the worst. We just assume that we were left out. We just assume that they didn't want us there. And I think that's just been a big part of my story, is assuming the worst in just situations of like not being invited to something, but just having choosing to not be offended by this. This just happened to me last week. I texted someone to hang out, and they responded with, "I'm so sorry, I don't have this number saved. Who is this?" And I sat in my living room and I was like, ouch. But then I was like, but I can choose to just not be offended. I can choose that for myself, to say, hey, honest mistake. Like, it's Megan. So excited. Like, I know you know who I am now that I say that. And so I think that there's just ways that like we can rewire our brain a little bit to not choose to walk in so much insecurity and so much doubt of those around us, but just being like, I'm gonna choose to just think the best about this situation, think the best about what God could do with it, and what the people in my life are doing and behaving towards me. So that's my
awesome.
advice.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Great advice. No, I think that's awesome. I think that that's a big deal, and I think that comes with humility and just that unoffendability of just people are gonna hurt you. They're gonna wrong you. They're gonna say the wrong thing. They're gonna leave you out. But just to turn that over and be like, God, like my security's in you. Like I love you. How can I live? That's awesome. So, well, hey, this has been an awesome episode.
Yeah.
Thanks
so
for
fun.
joining me. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to this week's episode. I hope there was something that you took away from this conversation with Megan. I know there was a lot of things that I was listening and taking away from it as well. And for some of you, it might have been the fact that you've gone through a season where it didn't go as planned. And honestly, that's pretty much all of young adulthood, in my opinion, is things not going as planned. But how you respond to that matters. And it's so fun to see where Megan is at and how God's brought her through those changes and those unexpected detours and all of those things and has provided for her in every way. It's so cool to see where she's at today. And I hope that you took something away from it as well. And we would love to hear that. If you wanted to send us a DM on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast, we would love to hear what you're taking away from this episode. And if you aren't already, we'd love to invite you to be a subscriber to the podcast so you don't miss out on any of the new episodes. We've got new episodes coming out weekly. Megan is the new co-host. It's going to be awesome. We'd love to have you along this journey. So subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you haven't before, leave a review. That helps more people see the podcast, and share it with a friend. If you have somebody that you think would benefit from this episode or the podcast as a whole, send it over to them via text or Instagram DM, or just put it in your mailbox somehow. I don't know how to do that yet, but figure it out. But we love to have more people listen and have more people impacted by what we're trying to do. So thank you. And as always, this podcast is put on by Northview Church. And so if you're ever in Fargo, we'd love to have you join us for a Sunday service at 8:30, 10, or 11:30. We'd love to have you there. But until next time, have a great week, and we'll see you soon.